Welcome to the next episode in our LeadSmart training series. Today we're talking about reports, and we're going to talk about how to create a very simple report that will give you information about your company or account data and show you some very simple tips and techniques that allow you to sort and group on that report. So from the home page, I'm going to go ahead and navigate to my Reports tab. And here in the Reports tab, I'm offered a list of recent reports that I may have worked with. In this example, I'm going to go ahead and select New Report. Now, when you select New Report, it will ask you to select a report type. The report type is a very, very important step because it is what allows you to select the available fields and the available objects for a particular report. So in this particular example, I have the Accounts and Contacts category selected, and I have over on the right-hand side the Accounts option selected. Now, if I select Accounts and Contacts, it will allow me to combine contacts that are associated with those accounts. In this case, I just want account data, so I'm just going to use the account option. But the report type gives you the ability to select not only the fields that you want, but also the object or data table relationships within those. So it's a real important step. So in this case, I'm going to select accounts. Now from here, you'll see that I'm given a default option that pre-selects the report for me. So in this particular case, I'm not seeing anything returned because I'm in a default report. So I'm going to go ahead and select filters here, and I'm going to change this from my accounts to all accounts. And then I'm also going to change the date on this from the create date to all time. So I'm just going to basically include all the records in the report. Now, you'll see that this gives me a preview, which is awesome, but now I need to select the kinds of fields that I want to group on. Now, before I talk about grouping, I want to just mention that there's other fields available in the account object that you can go pull from. So I can go into this and I can type in other information. Let's say I want billing address or billing city. I can grab those other fields and drag them over, which I'll do now with billing city. So by clicking on these fields or dragging them, I can bring them into the report, and then I can organize the report and move them around. The point here is that by selecting the account report type, I have access to all of these fields because that's the report type that I selected. Now, once I've done that and I got all the fields that I want to talk about grouping and how to group this report. So in this particular example, I want to group by a field that I'm not showing on the screen called lead source. So I'm going to go back to my outline tab here, and under my group, under rows, I'm going to go ahead and select lead source. So I'll just type in lead source here. And what it will do is it'll add a grouping for lead source. Now, right after I've done that, it also adds an additional grouping called group by columns. Now, this is a really neat feature that Salesforce now offers as part of Lightning. And that is, if I go ahead and type in billing state under columns now, it will allow me to group by row and column. So in this particular example, you'll see that by selecting billing state under the grouping column, it groups here by my lead source, and then it shows me the numbers that I have by state. So it's a really neat feature. It's almost what Salesforce used to call a matrix report baked into this one option. I'm going to go ahead and remove this though from the columns area, and I'm going to add billing state here under the grouping the rows, and then you'll see that it breaks it down in this format. So that's all well and good. This is now the kind of report that I wanted. I have the data in the format that I want. Now I want to save this report. So over here, I'm going to select Save. I'm going to give this report a new name. I'm going to call this Lead Source by State. And then I decide where to put it. So the folder you put a report in controls who sees it. So if you leave it in the private folder, only you see it. But you can choose to select other folders that other users within your company have access to. So in this example, I'm going to go ahead and select the LeadSmart folder. And by selecting that, it'll now make this report available to all the people that have access to that LeadSmart folder. So I'll go ahead and select Save here. So now I've created a report. I selected the fields I wanted. I selected the grouping that I wanted. And I also saved it. At this point, I can now modify this report and edit it further by adding other things like charts and other advanced features that I'll show in our part 2 video. Thank you.